Okay. Okay. Peace and shalom, family. Peace and shalom. I know this live was unexpected for a lot of you that are awake enough to catch the notification and get on. I didn't even promote it. Just jumped on. This is a Saturday night check-in session. I didn't get to go live yesterday. I was beat and needed some much needed rest. I was previously having some wisdom tooth pains. Been battling with that for about over a week now, and I had to go to the dentist, who then, refer me to an oral surgeon, and then this upcoming Wednesday, I have oral surgery to get it removed. So I may not do a Freestyle Friday this upcoming Friday, but I probably will do a live Monday or Tuesday to make up for not being able to do a Freestyle Friday this upcoming Friday. I don't know how things are going to be, but we'll see. I mean, we'll tough it out. You know what I mean? If I can do it Friday, I'll do it Friday. You know what I'm saying? With gauze my mouth and everything. You know what I mean? So, um, but it's all good. Just checking in. Um, Giving a couple of updates and things that's going on. So as y'all coming on in, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to share the video. Hit subscribe if you're brand new. Don't forget to click that bell notification so that you can get notified whenever we go live. And make sure you're constantly checking out the content on this channel so YouTube can continue to recommend our content to you and you can get our notifications. That's very important, right? I know a lot of y'all are watching this on the replay because it's pretty late on Saturday. Some of y'all are night owls like me. That's why I get most of my work done late at night. But just going to give you an update on what's going on. So the wisdom tooth situation was pretty crazy. And again, I'm taking several meds just to push through. It's helped tremendously. I got an antibiotic, I got a muscle relaxer, and I got a pain reliever. So, these are about to run out, but in preparation for next week, I'll be using anesthesia. So I'll pretty much be asleep when they're taking the tooth out, which I prefer. But then after that, I think I should be okay in regards to that's concerned. Because if that's hurting, it's very difficult for me to speak and trying to tolerate and endure the pain at the same time. So it could be a lot. I mean, it could be a lot, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, just still getting acclimated with work. I work 2 full-time jobs, you know what I'm saying, to do what I got to do to support my household and save up money, make investments, start future businesses, put it into KHM, whatever I got to do. So that's where it's at right now. It's not going to stay that way, but it's just that way so that way I can catch up on some things financially. And I'm transitioning to take on a third contract to transition away from my first contract. So I do IT. So I do IT contract roles. I grab the contracts when I need them. And that's the good thing about me doing contract work is that it's not a full-on, full-time job. You know what I'm saying? It's just contract work, right? So if I need a contract for 6 months, I'll grab it. If I need one for 1 year, I'll grab it. If I need one for 3 months, I'll grab it. You know what I'm saying? If the price is right and it's what I want to do, and that's a good thing. I get to choose what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Then I'll grab it if needed. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of working in IT. I have a pretty decent resume of experience. Pretty wide gamut of knowledge and skill sets that I can utilize in that field. But the main objective is to use that as a means to an end. Doing ministry full time is what I want to get back to. I've been doing it before, but had to make some financial calls. So that's why we're here where we're at now. That's why you don't see me as often. But that don't mean I don't have nothing brewing. I'm not working, I'm not reading, researching, because when I reemerge, like fully, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? The main goal of what I'm attempting to do is focus transitioning back to lectures once a month, classes twice a month, and doing Sabbath messages every other Saturday, and adding more content to the Patreons. I have several series I have to add more content to. So definitely want to do that in the Patreon. That's my main focus, but I've had to also oversee KHM operations as well. There's tons of autonomous units or subsidiaries within KHM. and that requires a lot of time to look it over and so forth. So what I'm doing also by working so much is being able to save up money so that way I can hire people within the community to assist us. The main things that we need is administrators. Anybody has administration, clerical, business administration experience, please reach out to us. Email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. We're also looking for a social media marketer, somebody can do social media marketing and management. And the third thing is somebody who is a professional videographer, video editor, right? Those are the three roles we're looking for. At the end of this month, I'll be hiring part-time for those roles. So if anybody's interested in doing any type of work, or you're looking for some part-time work and you have the skill set experience, please email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Or if you're watching this and you know somebody that has experience, please email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna make sure I put that out there. Now, also, we shipped out this week a lot of our back ordered cast and lot sets. So some of you had placed an order for cast and lot set, has been waiting around for some time. I had to wait on my supplier to prep them. You know, he was out of town in Israel for a couple months and finally came back recently, fulfilled my order. So I shipped those out. If you didn't get a tracking number, you should have it by Monday. The latest, by the end of the day on Monday, you'll have a tracking number. But everybody should receive their cast and lot set next week. Now there's 2 orders I think that are still pending. So I gotta get more from him because I already got a whole load of them, and I had to ship all of those out. But there's 2 more orders that's pending. And again, we'll reach out to you and let you know if that's you or not. But that's been like a top seller. You know what I'm saying? Like we had so many people reach out for the cast a lot set. I added the video in my recent social media post so people can know what it's about and how to use it and what case scenario to use it for. But that's the goal, KHM, right? To restore culture, community, and autonomy back to our community. You know what I'm saying? And once we infuse the community with this culture, community, autonomy by means of the Israelite paradigm that we're extracting it from the text, then we can implement it and we can resolve the societal ills that adversely affect our community each and every day. And that's the goal, right? And that's why I tell you the basis of that is culture. That's the most important thing, right? To take ownership of your culture and be reoriented back to that culture. Because our ancestors once had it, they lost it. They pick up some things along the way. We need to be reoriented back to that culture, and that takes some time. It's a process, right? So casting lots is one of the little things that bring us closer to doing that. And if you do want a casting lot set and you haven't placed an order yet, click the link in the description below and place your order. And as soon as we get the next bulk in, we'll go ahead and fulfill your order. Okay. If you have any questions, concerns, make sure you email us so we can keep you updated if you have not heard back from us. Okay. Also, the Silver Scrolls pendant that we sell as well is also a top seller as well. It's good to have it on you if you understand what the Silver Scroll was about. I went over this before with you guys, but pretty much it was found in about 600 BCE, and it was found in an amulet. It was 2 small scrolls rolled up. One of them, those scrolls, is the version of Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 to 26. It's the earliest extrapolation from a biblical text that we have, and it goes back to 600 BCE. So we know that prayers in regards to Israelite culture is some of the oldest customs, just like the songs in the text, the song of Miriam, or the song of Moshe, or the song of Deborah, right? These are very old parts of the text, right? So the Silver Scrolls was an amulet and was designed to have Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 to 26, which is called the Aaronic blessing. And that was designed to ward off evil spirits, evil energy, whatever you want to call it. And that's what the ancestors wore. So I keep one on my keychain, and I also have a necklace one. You probably see me with the necklace one. We'll be selling that soon as well. Just trying to find a supplier to give us a better quality chain. The one I have is cool, but to me it's a little too thin. So once we get our supplier to handcraft it, then we'll be able to put it up for sale for y'all. Okay. But if you're interested in that, you can also click the link in the description below. Just open up the subscription box, scroll down, you'll see it, click on that link and place your order for the Silver Scrolls if you're interested in that. Okay. So with that being said, because I want to focus more on producing more Patreon content, getting back to doing the classes, the lectures, and also community events, right? We have a business and health expos that we want to do for the Israelite community. KHM branded coming very soon. This way, people get to network about businesses. If you have any businesses of your own, you get to network. We have keynote speakers. We have people doing showcases, etc. Right? That's going to be huge. And also, we're going to do one on health as well, right? And then we're going to have one which we're going to do community awareness, right? So we're going to go into the innermost cities, right? What we call the ghettos of the hood, and we're going to push the truth. You know what I'm saying? Wake up people up, see the needs of the people, see their conditions socially firsthand, and be able to cater to that based on the Israelite paradigm that we have acclimated based on our studies and our research, and be able to see how it can firsthand affect the communities, right, for the good, right, in a positive light. So these are things that we want to do. So this is stuff I want to focus on. So I'm stepping back a little bit more from my overseeing of KHM so I can focus on that. And then once we can get that going with a nice steady momentum, then I'll get back and going hard with the KHM. But I want to thank all of our KHM members for sticking with us. I know this is tough times. There's a lot going on in the ministry. I appreciate y'all for holding down the fort, for being supportive, for being there. If you need to be active and you have not been activated yet in the ministry, email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. We want you to put your hands to the plow and let's do this kingdom work. We don't want anybody sitting on the sidelines. So if you have not been activated, email us so we can give you something to do. There's tons of things to do in the ministry. The most important thing is to see firsthand how the things that we do internally, externally affect the community in a positive light. Okay. And y'all know now what's going on is all of these ads I'm seeing for voting this November, right? I mean, they're just obliterating regular, I would say, commercials just to push these ads, right? So that goes to show that our community, we need to come together and form our body politic. If we say we're a nation, we have to have various assets in order for us to be considered a nation. So while the secular realm is grasping at the straws, trying to find a candidate to best represent them and push their needs, KHM already has a solution, right? We have a solution. If you've seen our chapter launch event, so you know what that solution is. If you go back and click on the playlist that I have where I talk about the various solutions, we have a solution, right? But we don't need to get involved, at least on the federal level. If you want to vote federally, that's fine. I might tell you not to. I think the most important thing is your county and city votes, because that's what's going to most immediately affect you, and then next to state. So if you want to do those voting, that's fine, but you have to learn voting strategies. And I have a whole video about voting strategies on this channel that you can check out. Okay. It's called Vote or Nope, right? Vote or Nope. It's with DivineProspect, Vote or Nope. And check out that video. Okay. So this is the time period and this is the season while everybody's distracted with these politicians and their lies and whatever else that they're saying, for us to come together as a community. That's important. All right. So don't get distracted by that. Let's stay focused and let's get it in. All right. All right. Also, our KHM virtual homeschool service is still open for registration. So if you have not registered for our KHM virtual homeschool service, the registration is still open. The website is khmvirtualhomeschool.org, khmvirtualhomeschool.org. Matter of fact, let me show it to y'all while we're talking about it. And this is the thing, we don't just sit on sidelines. I'm not just here commentating and giving my colorful commentary and opinions and whatever on YouTube. Like we're creating services and programs to benefit the community, like to make a difference, to change. We have the whole education pipeline on lockdown, right? From K all the way to graduate and postgraduate. We have a whole pipeline locked down. Everything accredited. All right, let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. All right. So while everybody else is on the internet talking and doing whatever else they're doing, we're not playing games. We out here building the stuff that our community needs. Right. And this is why KHM is so vital. It's because we're here to do that. That's what we're here to do. That's our purpose. Right. And the things that you see me do, mostly the teaching and stuff like that, leadership, getting involved in a community when there's marches and stuff like that. I mean, we put all the work in. I don't know what more anybody else would want from this ministry, but we put all the work in. You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and pull up the website so you can see it. Here it is right here. Okay, this is it. All right. It's the KHM Virtual Homeschool Service. All right. So what you want to do is you can go to the About Us, and in the About Us, you can read a little bit about what the service is about. If you have questions, here's our FAQs. All right. Also, we have a short thing on the curriculum to give you the standards that the curriculum is measured by. Okay. Accreditation. Now, I've had people reach out to me saying that they want to be teachers. They want to, work through this full time. Well, we cannot hire teachers until we have more parents signing up, right? Because that tuition that we pull in would be for operations of the service. Plus, it would go to our staff, whether it's teachers or administrators. So the more people we can sign up for the virtual homeschool service, then we can start hiring teachers. So that's what we want to do, right? We want to hire more teachers, but that's all contingent on how many parents sign their children up for this service. Okay. But it's still open. Registration is still open. All right. What you want to do is click on sign up right here. All right. And here you can click on here and fill out the application for the student transcript. And you can fill out this application for student registration. All right. And then you can put your name, upload any files that we may need in addition to this, hit submit. And this is how you get started. Okay. But everything else is here. You can go to the About Us to learn about us. FAQs is answered here. Curriculum is answered here. Now, if you have any questions or concerns, we have an email right at the top right. Here's our email address, khmvirtualhomeschool@gmail.com. Here's the contact number, 470-222-5198. And then if you want to send us something by snail mail, here's our P.O. box right here. All right. And here's the ministry email and the ministry phone number as well. All right. But if it's specific for the virtual homeschool, this is your contact information at the top right. Okay. All right. So again, this is still open. Registration is still open. Please get in right now. The window is still open. For some people, this is considered late registration. So you don't have a lot of time, but please get the word out. Any parents you know that are interested in homeschooling, this is the best thing smoking, right? So please sign up ASAP. And again, the doors are still open for this, but only for limited time. All right. So all praise to the Most High that we're able to offer this service that a lot of other people in the community have been asking about. We're able to fulfill that, and that's what we're here to do. All right. Okay. All right. So I want to make sure I mentioned that. Also, the feast days are coming up. The fall feast days are coming up. There are some congregations and camps and groups that are already doing their feast days. This past last weekend, starting Sunday, was Rosh Hashanah for some individuals, or Yom Teruah, right, or Trumpets. This is the second weekend, so that means next weekend will start for some people Tabernacles, right, whereby on the 10th day from that last Sunday for some people will be Yom Kippur, right? But KHM, you already know, we're not starting our Yom Teruah until next weekend. So next weekend will be our Yom Teruah, right? Now, if you want that information, it's on our calendar. I'm going to bring up our calendar so you can take a look at this month. But if you want to purchase the calendar, you definitely can. If you want to get more intimate details on our calendar or calendrical process. So just give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and pull it up and show it to y'all. Okay. All right. So feast days. If you haven't gotten this calendar yet, I don't know what you're waiting on. What are you waiting on if you haven't gotten this calendar yet? All right. Here's a calendar right here. All right. Excellent cover art. Right. Beautiful cover art. We're going to jump down to right here, which is Ethanim. Ethanim is the 7th month. All right. We got beautiful artwork here. Right. And over here, we have all the details right here so you guys can see. All right. Here's our Feast of Trumpets. So our Feast of Trumpets, as you can see here, it falls on the evening of the 9th, which is a Sunday evening, and it goes into Monday as far as the day is concerned. So that is when we are doing our feast. And our Yom Kippur is 10 days after that. And then 2 weeks after that, we start our Feast of Tabernacles on Sukkot. Okay. So again, if you have not seen this before, that means you need to order a calendar. Okay. So if you want to get access to the calendar, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link for y'all so you can click on it and get that calendar ASAP, and you can keep up with the feast days. If you are in the UK, and if you're in Toronto or near the Toronto area, please email us. What we want to do is coordinate with those two groups so they can meet other KHM members and y'all can do something together, right? We have not hit London yet. We have not hit Toronto yet, but those are the two cities that we want to hit after Houston. And now that everything is settling down from this coronavirus pandemic, now we can start to plan things in regards to going to both London and Toronto without dealing with this shot situations, vaccination situation. Okay, that was messing a lot of things up. Same thing with Houston. A lot of Houston spots you had to get vaccinated and all this other stuff. All of that stuff has subsided. So now we have definitive, not definitive, but tentative dates and times when we want to come out there. But in the interim, we're not going to make it before the feast days or the fall feast days. So we want people to be able to congregate and get together to do that. So if you're in Toronto, email us. We want to put you in a group with other individuals local to your area. If you're in London, surrounding areas, or just in the UK in general, the UK is really not big. Some states are bigger than the UK. Let us know. And we want to put y'all in a group as well. I've had several requests from brothers and sisters in Toronto, brothers and sisters in the UK saying, where's the other KHM members at? So I want to put y'all together. Also, if you're in South Africa, more particularly in the Johannesburg area or the surrounding areas, email us as well. We have like 12 or 13 brothers and sisters out there in Johannesburg, South Africa. We want you to get together as well so we can all do it in unison. Those of you who are in the States, you got to sign up for KHM and we can link y'all up. You know what I'm saying? We already did several chapter launches. There's several heads to certain chapters in certain cities. All of that, you can see we have a whole playlist with that information in it. Or you can email us, or the best thing to do is get the app and we can send out these push notifications with all this data and information. But I want to give you the link if you're interested in getting that calendar so you can stay abreast on all these dates and times. Now, if you're interested in how these dates of time are calculated, I have a playlist that goes into the feast days. So just look for that on this channel. You'll be able to see that. Let me drop the link for the calendar for y'all real quick. Give me a second. Let me grab it. All right, here's the calendar link right here. Yep, Stacks is right. If you're subscribed to the Patreon, you get free access to the calendar. So if you're not signed up for the Patreon, sign up for it. If you already signed up for the Patreon, these are one of the benefits of signing up for the Patreon. Through the DivineProspect brand, which the Patreon is, it is a subsidiary under KHM. And what I do with my brand is give you KHM benefits through my brand. But you can also get it outside of my brand by being a KHM member. If you're a KHM member, you do not have to purchase the calendar. All you gotta do is send us an email and we'll send you the calendar. Everybody who's a KHM member, you should have a calendar. If you don't, email us and we'll send you a calendar, okay? All right, so Cesar Rodriguez says, what's the Patreon? That's it right there. The Patreon, www.patreon.com/DivineProspect. Sign up for the Patreon. The good thing about the Patreon is if you love this ministry and you want to support it, the Patreon is the best way you could do that. Now you can also do a one-time donation through Cash App, PayPal. All that information is down at the bottom, or you can also send one to the ministry through the square link in the description below. But if you want to really support this ministry, more particularly the Divine Prospect brand, sign up for the Patreon, pledge an amount every month, and there's tons of we have over 700 posts on there with tons of content, sources, everything you could think of. Once you're signed on, in the search box, click calendar, and the calendar will come up, and you can just click it to download it. All right. Same thing with the mixtapes. You get all the mixtapes that we have on there at no additional cost. Right. You get access to exclusive video content I place on there, books, articles, Bible software, audio Bibles, exclusive links to access a variety of things. One more particular in regards to health and naturopathic remedies that have been vetted, and that's actually posted on the website that actual allopathic doctors make reference to. Right, you get access to that at no additional cost. Paid Bible study software, you get access to that with no additional cost. Right, I have a couple of series on there that I added some content for. You get that at no additional cost. Right, I have my blogs on there where I take time to write stuff and plug it on there. You get that at no additional cost. There's so much stuff on the Patreon. If you never see a video on here for days or weeks or whatever, you can always go to the Patreon and get all that content, or you can go into the old content we have on this channel that you've never encountered before. So much content, so many things I've touched on. You will never run dry. The well will never run dry. That's why I tell you all the time, you must dig deep wells because you never know when there's going to be a drought. Right, and that's important. So sometimes when you see these videos that's very long that I do, it's good because if I'm absent for some time, it's just so much footage to go back to. You know what I'm saying? If you have the Patreon on top of that, so much material to read and catch up on and watch. And we also have the Bible against its ancient Near Eastern background, a whole course series that's there on the Patreon as well. Excellent video. Everybody needs to watch it. I'm gonna segue into that in a second. But you got to sign up for the Patreon, right? Like I said, I add stuff to that all the time. I try to add stuff weekly, and if I do miss a week, then that next week I'll double up. But just I have like 3 more articles I got to add to it. It's just so much stuff on the Patreon, right? Yes. So Simply Saved Mixtapes. You heard that right. Yes, we have KHM Mixtapes. All right, you can purchase. You can not purchase, but donation. We take donations. We're not selling them. We're releasing them upon a donation that's given. But if you're part of the Patreon, just type mixtapes in the search field and those posts will come up. You can click on that and you can download those mixtapes. Okay. All right. So let me give a couple of shout outs. I know there's not a lot of us in here because it's late. I didn't promote or advertise this live. So typically when I don't do that, we don't get to 150, 200. When I just go live like this, it's typically small, intimate, just people who can catch it. And that's cool, right? Because everybody else can get it on the replay. That's fine. Let me give a couple of shout outs. Shout out to Apothecary Custom, Shalom, Emmanuel, Shalom, Feed the Spirit, Shalom, Elephant Man Podcast Network, Shalom, Sister Nalent, Shalom, Get Wise, Shalom, Shalom, Abbott Cole, Shalom, Jeremiah in the building, Shalom, Sister Santawa, Shalom, Truth Seeker, Shalom, Thea P, Shalom. You said, Shalom, I have a question. Can Esau or Gentiles be saved? Yes, they can be saved because they have to serve Israel in the kingdom to come. So, of course, they can be saved. Yeah, they can be saved. They can be saved. They serve Israel in the kingdom. And then after they do their time of servitude, then they have a chance at coming through one of those gates with the Israelite they cleaved unto, so that way they can be with us in eternity. Now, I know some Israelites don't want to hear that. That may not be music to their ears, but anything that I propose, I can defend. Right? I don't make assertions unless it's something that is still speculative or something that's still, up in the air. But if I say it definitively, that's a claim, and I'm well equipped to defend it. So that's my position on that. They have to serve Israel. The Gentile nations will serve Israel, and that's not my opinion. That's just what the text says, and it's fulfilled in what's called the Brit Hadashah, the so-called New Testament. The nations still have to come and serve Israel. So the nations or the Goyim or the Gentiles can be saved because they have to tend the sheep for Israel. They got to plant these vineyards for Israel, prune the vineyards for Israel. They have to help rebuild the cities. Once that war of quote unquote Armageddon happens, they have to help us to rebuild the cities. They got to bring their treasures, have their kings bow before Israel. That has to be fulfilled, right? So from my research, I'm an Israelite. But let's say I'm not an Israelite. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with serving Israel. Because if you're a Christian, you got to serve Israel anyway. Christians say they're Zionist. Christians says, oh, we got to pray for Israel. Oh, we got to serve Israel. Oh, we got to help Israel. But they want to see in somebody else's yard, but they never want to look in their own yard to see where Israel really is. That's fascinating, right? They look away from home for Israel, and Israel's been in their backyard for 400 years. nonetheless. So hopefully that answers your question. Shout out to Rebounding from Narcissistic Abuse. Shalom. Shalom to Emmanuel Curry. Shalom. Shalom to Jacob Wake Up. Shalom. W Mac. Shalom, sis. What's going on? Let's see. Please deal with vocab. What do you want me to do with vocab on? You know, I have tons of videos with me. All you gotta do is type DivineProspect, vocab Malone, whole bunch of videos going back and forth. Right. So what do you want me to address him on? Him dealing with the pews? I don't deal with the pew situation. That's too speculative. It's too muddied. I don't deal with the pew situation. Right. So I'm not going to have a dialogue on him about that because I don't want to discuss that. To me, is irrelevant. Right. For some people, it's their history. Some people, they say it's Hebrew. Some people say it's not Hebrew. Some people say it's a West African Arabic dialect and that they're using a cursive script for it. I understand all the arguments on both sides. That has nothing to do with me. I'm not concerned with that. There's other proofs I'd rather go into if we're going to validate that with Israel than dealing with some obscure writings on the pews that nobody has fully deciphered yet, right? So I don't want to have nothing to do with that. And if that's what you're asking me to deal with vocab about, that's not happening. If you pick on another topic, I could definitely deal with another topic in regards to vocab, right? Just let me know. But y'all know I have a long history since 2016. I'm talking about 6 years going back and forth with vocab. I don't know what more else is there to talk about with vocab, but if you have an interesting topic, let me know and I could probably examine it. All right. Let's see. Shout out to Ariel. Let's see. Oh, Yasun, Shalom. Let's see. Who else is in here? Yarel, Judah, Shalom. You love Yah, Shalom. Stacks 2296 in the building, Shalom. Cesar Rodriguez, Shalom. Living by the way, Shalom. So living by the way, you ask what resources can you share to prove Shabbat starts at evening, but mainly the Shabbat is the daytime. Okay, so living by the way, are you new to this channel? It's not a complex topic at all. It can be broken down in one session. This is not the session that I wanted to devote to doing that. When I've done previous sessions, all you got to do is type in Kingdom Harbinger Ministries Sabbath. Matter of fact, it's a playlist I have on the Sabbath. Go check it out on the playlist, right? But to answer your question, Exodus 16 is the answer to your question. Exodus 16 is the answer to your question. All right. Now, to get more granular than that, if you have a specific question, let me know. But again, I already did a playlist on the Shabbat or the Sabbath. All you got to do is type in Kingdom Harbinger Ministries Sabbath, and you'll see the playlist or the videos, and you can dive into from there. All right. Shout out to Simply Saved, Shalom, Jacolia's Gems, Shalom, Kaya Houston, Shalom, sis. Mother Beulah in the building. Oh, Elder up early in the morning. I was going to say late at night. This is considered early in the morning catching this. All praise to the Most High. Halaab, Sakari, B. Moore in the building. Sloop King, what's going on? Adaya Yusufa El, Shalom, sis. What's going on? Y'all must have nothing else better to do on Saturday night, man. Y'all saw that notification say click. All right, no problem, living by the way, no problem, King. Listen, like I said, the playlist is there, you can check it out. But if you had a specific question now, I can address that. The only thing is that topic, I wouldn't say it's complex, it's just take some time to walk through it. And if you have a particular question like a scripture or something like that, I can address that real quick. But I'm going to segue into the Q&A section, and I can address some of that, but just let me know. Okay. All right. So I think I covered everything. Shout out to all my patrons. By the way, thank you all so much for being faithful to the Patreon and supporting this ministry, regardless, rain, sleet, hail, snow, whatever the case may be. Y'all are a staple, and y'all keep me encouraged because y'all reach out to me in messages. Some of y'all be praying for me and sending me encouragement messages and all of that. Ask me all types of questions. If you have any questions you ask on the Patreon and I didn't get to you, it's because I get a ton of messages on Patreon, but that's okay. It's okay to nudge, right? Meaning repeat, right? Send a reminder, right? Resend the message. It's okay, right? If I overlooked it, it's not intentional. Please just resend it so you can put it to the top of the inbox and I can get to it for you, all right? But I appreciate all of y'all. And I have a tons of stuff that I want to put on there soon. And I'm just trying to get a couple of things in order. Probably take me another couple of weeks before I'm fully situated. But again, I have a lecture scheduled for November and December of this year. 2 lectures scheduled for this year. I wanted to start the classes this month, but I probably won't be able to do that because of my oral surgery and the healing got to do with that. So I'll probably start the classes in November. I already got 2 lectures scheduled. So I got a November lecture scheduled and I have a December lecture scheduled already, right? I have classes already scheduled for December, classes already scheduled for November. Okay, so we're about to heat on up. I got Sabbath messages already lined up, right? For twice a month. So I got 2 Sabbath messages for November, 2 Sabbath messages for December, and then I have some Patreon content. So I'm trying to get real busy before this year's over, right? More particularly in November and December. I'm trying to heal up in October, get these contracts situated so they're structured, and I can fit everything else into those gaps of bandwidth that I'm free. But this is what I have planned coming up soon. Now, if you have any suggestions for a lecture you want me to do, definitely email kingdomharbinger@gmail.com and I'll consider it, right? And if I do pick a topic for a lecture that you give, if I do pick it, I'll give you a reward, right? I'll send you a reward. If I do, I'm saying, man, that's good, and I do it, we'll send you a reward. We'll give you a free product from the ministry, all right, as a thank you for the inspiration to actually put forth a lecture. Yeah, everybody missed the lectures, right? Y'all be hitting me up every month. Divine, do a lecture on this. Divine, can you do a lecture on that? Divine, man, I missed these lectures. Or go back and make comments on old lectures. Man, can you go back to these lectures? I got y'all. We can go back to the 2-hour lectures, an hour and a half, 2.5 hour lectures, where we get all this information on one topic, right? And if y'all don't know what we talking about, if y'all newbies to this channel, go back and check out the past lectures, man. You know, that's something that I love to do. It was the only reason why I stopped is because of COVID. That's the only reason why I stopped. Now I could do lectures like this, I'm gonna end it off the year. I'm gonna be doing my lectures right like this, which I'm getting a whiteboard soon. I had an old one, I threw it away. I'm gonna get a whiteboard soon because I love doing whiteboard teaching. So I'm gonna get a whiteboard soon. And my next session with the whiteboard is gonna be apologetics, right? Israelite apologetics. I did a video on that about 4 years ago. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not sure on apologetics. It might be in 2017. I don't know. It's pretty old, but I'm gonna do an updated one on apologetics, right? How do we respond to things that people say about the Israelite community, right? If you're following me on Clubhouse, if not, at DivineProspect, download the Clubhouse app, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and set it up, create a profile, and follow me at DivineProspect, right? We washing Nubians up, eating them for breakfast, okay? And then this dude named King DNA, we told him all this stuff. Oh, your God lied, and your God said this. You're washing them up. It's easy. What I want to do is teach y'all how to do it. I've been doing that for some time now, right? But when I do the whiteboard, I take questions from y'all and I address it. I say, hey, what question have you heard from the Christian community about Israelite community? What question you heard from the Muslim community about us? What question you heard from the Kemetic community or the atheist community? Whatever the case, and I whiteboard it for y'all, right? Whiteboard it, walk you through it, how you give a response to the things that people say. So if you see some of those last 2 Clubhouse sessions I put on this channel, I want to teach y'all how to do that, right? When you have some Kemetic person, Wabian person come and make all these egregious claims against the scriptures or us identifying as Israel, I'm gonna show you how to respond to that, right? Because I want to help you to solidify your feet in this walk. Because I'd be like, yo, people left the scriptures for this. You left the scriptures to believe in ETs. Okay. Well, I mean, listen, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, right? You left the scriptures because you want to go talk about crystals and energies when we have gemstones in our culture. You want to leave because you want to do divination. We got divination in our culture. We got libations in our culture. We got sortition in our culture. We have all these things in our culture already. You're leaving our culture to go practice something out, what you think is outside the culture, which is really in the culture. And this stuff has been here for some time. All right. So hold on for 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I check on my daughter. So you're leaving the culture to go and do something else. You feel the culture is restrictive. Oh, the Bible is this. God lied in the Bible. it'd be funny, man, but it's not funny because people are leaving the scriptures and Israelite way and culture because they get hurt or they get disappointed. And I'm like, you can't get disappointed by the imperfect model. The imperfect model is always going to disappoint you. So you go to the template. You go to the template, not the copy of the template, which is going to have imperfections. You ever had an original document and you go scan it and see what it looks like scanned, or you try to copy it? The copy is always going to have an imperfection. So why are you looking at the copy as if it should be supposed to be perfect, but it's not? It is a copy of something. So y'all are letting yourselves down purposely because you've been following the copies instead of the original. That's the problem. The scripture outlines what those guidelines are, what that standard is. And if you're looking for it to be perfectly executed through an individual, then you're going to let yourself down. And that's with anything. If society dictates the standard in your mind of what a spouse is supposed to be or significant other is supposed to be, and then you go and you're trying to look for that in that person, you're going to be disappointed. I'm sorry to tell you, romance is a secular cultural thing. Let me say it again, because maybe some of you mixing up romance. Romance, look up the word romance. Romance is from the Roman culture. That's not part of Israelite culture. Does that mean there's no love and affection? And no, we see that in the Song of Songs. That's part of our culture. It's in there. But it's grounded in something that is imuna. The faith, when you say imuna in Hebrew, that is a foundation. It is something that is concrete, something that is anchored, something that is practical. And the problem is you're looking at an imaginary fairy tale and you're trying to superimpose that onto real life. And you're trying to figure out why it's not working. Especially when you use something outside of your culture to fix an issue within your culture. How is that going to work? That's like, I'm gonna get controversial here. That's like slaves, what we call prior to the Civil War, before the Civil War, slaves that was here in America, looking for liberation in their master's religion. Looking for liberation in their master's religion. How can you get liberation that way? You have a big issue, you're right. But how can the slave master's religion fix that problem? You're going outside of your culture to get a solution for an issue that your culture is already designed to repair, to fix, to resolve. See, I tell people this, the scriptures themselves is a compendium of culture. Let's say, and I'm going to say this, and I know this is not all the way true. Let's say the Bible was fully fiction. Let's just say it's fully fiction, right? Because, this is arguments that people make. Does that change anything for you, Divine? Absolutely not. Why would that change anything for me? It's culture. You see, I'm not hung up that something this has to be centered historically. And if it's not centered historically, slow down, slow your brakes. It's a lot of the cultures that they have tons of myths and what we call tales, folklores, and all of that, designed to teach the culture something, designed to orient the culture towards the goal, which is the survival of that culture. And once you get the survival laid down, now you can thrive. But that requires culture, which is customs and manners infused. So if ancestors left this culture in literature for me today, whether all those characters were real or not, whether those events were real or not, it does not matter. The objective is the culture is designed to teach you something about yourself so you can be spiritually aligned with the Creator. And it has to use the means within the culture in order to do so. Now, we know that a lot of stuff in the scripture, I would say, I can't really give a percentage because things are still being uncovered, but we can center the scripture in historical events, right? I have books up there. I have books that I share on the Patreon about this, right? But there are some things that we cannot explain externally, but that does not mean that it's fictional. Some things are written just internally for the culture, and you'll see this in any other culture. So when people try to use arguments against the Bible, they try to show inconsistencies in the text, try to catch themselves doing some form of textual criticism, but I ask them certain terms and jargons and they cannot decipher it. And I'm like, okay, what are you talking about? What you're saying is not making sense. But let's say they do find that. I said, oh, it's a copyist error. Oh, that's a scribal error. Oh, that's this. That's common. They didn't have computers. What are you talking about? That's why we have a plethora of manuscripts in order for us to deduce so we can work around those type of things. But see, you're not factoring that in. Oh, we don't have any evidence for Exodus. Yes, we do. Did you know they did a whole transdisciplinary consortium together to expound on that because they've never done that before? It's done back in 2012. They still have to follow up. They haven't yet, but that's fine. That's fine. Right? Israelites, we did our own Exodus event. I don't know if y'all remember this. This is way back in it's 2015. So a long time ago. We did our own Exodus event. So there's things that we can do to bring this knowledge together. But again, nothing that they say is adversely affecting anything. I've heard almost all of it. And I'm like, no. So what I want to do when I whiteboard it is show you guys how to respond to these things. It should be commonplace amongst all of us on how to do this, right? And earlier I was in a room on the Clubhouse, and they had a black rabbi in there. And I've spoken to him before. Shout out to Mordecai. I spoke to him before. But he's pushing that esoteric realm and saying, oh, y'all don't have any understanding. When I talked to him before, I'm like, brother, that's not true. I do have that understanding. But what I'm saying is that understanding is no longer sufficient because we have archaeology and we have other means to vet stuff. We have material culture and sister cultures. Look, we have other means to interpret what's going on in the text that we don't need your partist system. We don't need your Kabbalah. You don't need that. Yes, it helps. It brings insight, but it's not necessary. And they get mad when I said, but that's why we teach culture. So let me show you something. I want to show you something real quick. Right? Let me show you something. All right, check this out. Let me show you some material. Okay, throwback old school material. Because when it comes to this stuff, man, we don't play games here. You already know. Okay, we go like this. That book challenge. What? What you say? Oh, you talking about culture? Oh, word. Okay. All right. So, went and found my books for y'all. So I want to share some of this stuff with y'all. I would say one of my favorites is this one right here because it's small, it's compact. This is awesome. Look, you got to check this out. Take a look at it. Right. See this? Look at it. See, the problem is when people try to bang on the scriptures, they don't understand the culture. It's very evident. They don't understand the culture. They don't understand the history or the language surrounding that. They don't know nothing about the sister cultures that immediately surround Israel. They always make these claims of plagiarism. I said plagiarism is a contemporary legalese term. What are you talking about? Show me one case of plagiarism, primary source of plagiarism in antiquity, in ancient Near East. Doesn't exist. Nobody was copywriting this stuff. What are y'all talking about? I said, okay, I'm just gonna just let it rock. Whatever y'all say. And then you remember that post I put up, that video I put up with me debating Duswa on Yeshua Bar Yosef. Man, I didn't post the discussion we had the day before, and I didn't post the 6 hour after debate discussion that went down. Them Nuwabians got slaughtered, bro. It was bad. And this is no hate to Nuwabians. I got several Nuwabian associates that I'm cool with, that I build with. Shout out to Nuwabians, man. But y'all treading on unfamiliar territory. You claim you know it, but then I got to go back and school y'all. Like if you're following me on Clubhouse, just follow me on Clubhouse. I'm just saying. I got to school them on these things. I give them baby steps. And I was in a room, and I probably put that video up where there was a whole panel. All the mobs on there were Nuwabians, with just me going back and forth, and they frustrated the heck out of me. And I got to admit, sometimes I do get frustrated. And my patience is very thin, especially when you interject, when you cut me off, and I give you an opportunity to speak. But then when I speak, every time I speak in those rooms, they cut me off. And when they let me talk, it's a wrap. I have Nuwabians in my inbox. Brother, I used to be an Israelite, but I didn't know none of that. Okay, you want some more material? Like I put you on. Since I've been on Clubhouse, 5 Nuwabians came back to being an Israelite. All praise to the Most High. 5 Nuwabians, deep in Nuwabianism. They left it because Nuwabians supposedly was reading all these scrolls from Dr. York. I have about 150 something scrolls from Dr. York, right? I read all of that. All the Dr. York videos and all you can get from YouTube. I have everything. Nuwabian brothers and sisters I know, give me stuff from CDs and DVDs, old stuff. I watch it. I'm going to start digitizing it too and putting it out there. It's not even on YouTube. I'm going to start putting it out there. I have all of that. Go through all that. Hey, what do you want to get? When I talk to them, I put references to Dr. York's work. Say, hey, what scroll are you talking about? And they mention this. All right, I got it right here. All right, let's go into it. No, I don't got it in front of me right now. I'm like, okay, don't worry about it. I'm going to read it for you. What was that? Oh, okay. All right. Brother, how you know all that Dr. York stuff and you still an Israelite? Because the stuff is talking about the Bible is not convincing enough. Okay, anyway, so in that debate, I didn't have a lot of time. And then the last part of it, for some reason, the audio when I was recording it got choppy. So if you listen to the last part of it, it may not seem consistent. And that's because some of it got chopped up, but it's all good. It got chopped up. It's all good. But I'm on the Patreon. I'm gonna put up the other 6 hours. If you can muster through that 6 hours, I can't even say that. If you watching stuff on this channel, then you good with 6 hours. That's light. I'm gonna put that up on the Patreon, and then I'm gonna put it on YouTube. Y'all listen to the rest of that. Yo, it was a slaughterhouse, man. Yo, not just me. It was other Israelites coming for their throat. But when I was responding, I was not playing no games. Listen, I took the gloves off. I don't have a problem having discussion with my brothers and sisters within the community, right? I got to prove nothing to you from the scriptures as far as like what we believe or whatever. Now, we may have differences in doctrine. We can have dialogues about that. That's fine. But when you outside of that community and you banging on that and you are taking unassuming Israelites who are naive away from that walk because you think you got some deep information, they start bringing up the Anunnaki. And I said, okay, give me all the Anunnaki sources. Y'all still believe in Nibiru, Planet X? Y'all still believe in that? I had an elder was going back and forth and said, oh yeah, Planet X. You know, they came and they was telling Pops about Zachariah Stitch's work, Planet X. You know, Pops was already talking about that. I'm like, well, yeah. Did you know that there's a field called Syriology? And in that academic field, they've been talking about Sumerian and Akkadian culture and Babylonian and Syrian culture for a long period of time before Pops was even born. It's not new information, yo. But listen. I said, look, in maybe in 1995, that would have worked. We in 2022, bro. We got access to too much information. Brothers can go back and fact check everything now. And then I started bringing up sources. Oh, those are white sources. I'm like, wait. This dude is not even white. Like, he's Japanese. This one is what you would call Yemen, right? If you see him, he's a man of color. This dude is from Africa. This is a black man. But they hear a name and I give a source and they think it's all white people until I start telling them to look these authors up. And then they get quiet. And then I said, wait, let me go to Dr. York's work. I go to Dr. York's work. I pulled up 38 white sources. And I said, hey, Pops was using white sources. wait. Dr. York was using white sources. So how are you trying to neuter me and tell me I can't use these sources, but he was using white sources? Okay. All right. Let me simmer on down. Brothers don't even know when they read the text. The brother, I asked the brother, do you know biblical Hebrew? Yes, I know biblical Hebrew. I say, you know biblical Hebrew. I said, all right. So in biblical Hebrew, when you're reading that term, and that day you shall eat it, ye shall surely die. And I asked them, okay, show me the adverb there. Which one is the adverb? What agent is acting as the adverb? What constituent is acting as the adverb in that grammatical clause right there? Can't even identify. And that's okay. Is it in the perfect tense, imperfect tense? Don't even know. Okay. Cow stem? Don't even know. Don't know none of that. Don't even know what they're talking about. It's okay. Let me explain to you. This is what this is. And I have to go back and re-educate them. But I'm okay with that because I'm not doing it for their sake. I'm doing it for the listening audience. People who are not talking, not trying to argue with me. They're just there for the information. I want them to hear this because a lot of Israelites, when they hear me speak, they come back to me and say, man, I was about to go over here and go over here. And then I heard you speak. And I'm like, yeah, but what I'm saying is not nothing that's a secret or mystery. I'm like, yo, let me put you on I'm gonna show you how you can get access and do it for yourself. All that stuff is nothing out there is itching my ears. I've heard it all. I've sorted through it all. It doesn't bother me. I have a refutation and at the very least a rebuttal for everything. But in order for you to be equally as adept, you have to study the culture. So I'm gonna show you some resources. Now, on the Patreon, I already have resources. Matter of fact, I just made a post yesterday morning, Saturday morning, early in the morning. I was up. I was still up, actually, crazy. And I put a post up. I set a link up, and I was giving you some books going through culture, even one about children growing up in the ancient Near East, and more specifically in Israel, right? Several of the sources. And then what I wanted to do on the live stream, if I did go live Friday, I went to sleep, I dozed off, went to sleep. And then I woke up and I was just up in the morning and then I went to sleep again. Right. And when I was up, I said, I want to stay in touch with y'all. I want y'all to think I abandoned y'all Freestyle Friday. That wasn't my intention. So I said, let me make a post. And that's what I did. And if you haven't seen that post, go to the community tab. Always, if you don't see a video on here, on a Friday night, always go to the community tab and check in and see what's going on because I check in there, right? So on top of those sources, I have some other sources here as well. Let me show it to you, all right? This one here is called The New Manners and Customs of Bible Times, full color edition of the 175,000 bestseller by Ralph Gower. All right, this one here, it says, do you know why Christ chose a man carrying a pitcher of water to lead the disciples to the Last Supper? Or why the Samaritan woman came to the well in the sweltering heat of midday? The Bible was written in a culture and land vastly different from our own. It is essential, therefore, that we understand the manners and customs of the time. The new manners and customs of the Bible will open your eyes to the lifestyle and customs of the Bible writers and characters, giving you clearer understanding of God's word. You will be enlightened by helpful features, including look at your Bible sections, giving special insights into scripture, more than 250 full color or black and white photographs and illustrations, detailed maps and diagrams, numerous scripture references on every page, and topical and scriptural indexes. This is excellent. All of these so-called customs and manners editions by different authors, I have all of them, and I've read all of them. Okay, so this is this one, right? You can get this from Amazon. If you can still get it from Amazon, you should be able to get it from Amazon. It's very rare. It's not even recent. The copyright in here is 2005. So it's about, what's that? 2005, about 17 years old. Almost 17 years old. Wow, I'm getting old. All right. So the other one here is the Nelson Super Value Series Illustrated Manners and Customs of the Bible Varsity, a fascinating guide to the Bible and its times, manners, and customs. Over 6,000 topics covered, fully illustrated, comprehensive subject index included. This one is by J.I. Packer and M.C. Tenney. Okay, this one as well. The kind of information illustrated manners and customs contains aids one in understanding scripture much more fully than one could otherwise. This encyclopedic guide to the Bible and its times puts a wealth of information at your fingertips. 46 sections cover the people of the Bible and how they lived, from family life to law to transportation. Edited by J.I. Packer and Merrill Tenney, this affordable one-volume resource offers a wealth of biblical information. Bible study will be more rewarding, lesson planning more effective, and understanding God's word easier than ever before. The most affordable, comprehensive, all-in-one guide to the manners and customs of the Bible and its times. Let's go. All right. Next up, Manners and Customs in the Bible, an illustrated guide to daily life in Bible times, revised edition. This one's by Victor H. Matthews. All right, this one goes into how did the exile change Israel's religious life? Why would Lot even think of throwing his daughters to a mob? What exactly were the differences between Herodians, Sadducees, Pharisees, and Essenes? Lots of questions crop up when you read the Bible. For answers, you need insight into the Bible's culture, its people, and how they lived. This resource, throwback resource, is from 1991. And this edition was revised and the printing is 2003. This other one here, let me see. This one was from, this one is a throwback, 1980. 1980. All this knowledge has been out for some time. My favorite, oh wait, let me get into this. I'll get into this one in a second. This is a throwback from the 80s too. This one right here is my favorite. This one is from 2007. The Illustrated Guide to Bible Customs and Curiosities, more than 750 entries on why they did what they did, right? So, for example, this goes into Joseph's situation, Egyptian embalming, gifts of clothing, eyes closed at death, Egyptian wagons, an emotional Yosef, a hand of victory. This goes into, it gives you the cover. When it goes into the book, it gives you a nice introduction. No rules drinking, separation of Persian women, right? Why did Bible people wash each other's feet? What was wrong with Leah's tender eyes? Why couldn't the Israelites boil a young goat in his mother's milk? What did Jesus mean about his yoke being easy? Where exactly was Jesus crucified? What is a holy kiss? The Bible is full of strange, mysterious, and downright puzzling things, but an understanding of ancient times and culture can help to explain many confusing passages. Why do I need Kabbalah when I could got culture? Why? Culture has layers of depth to it. I don't need theological midrash, right, from Kabbalah or any kind of Gemara commentary, right? I've been through that. I've read that material, familiar with it. It falls short when you just understand the culture, the history, the language of the people, and look at the sister cultures. Falls short. You don't need it. Insufficient. But some of y'all love that stuff, and that's fine. That's your prerogative. Just don't tread on my turf. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So another oldie but goodie, and I just had to recently repurchase this, right? This is Chris. Recently repurchased this, is Hebrew Thought Compared with Greek by Thorleif Bowman. A classic study of the difference between Greek and Hebrew thought. Okay, and that one is from Colgate University by John E. Rexing, who made that comment, right? Now, this was translated from German, if I'm not mistaken, from what I read here in the preface. Right, because Thorleif Bowman, you won't find his works in English. He has a translator, and here's the translator's preface right here, and this is the preface to the English edition. This book is fascinating. Look at here on page 67, the word in Greek thought. It is not our intention to provide a complete discussion of the term word in Greek thought, but to outline only those motifs, which are themes, which are significant for a comparison with Hebrew thought. We can at once limit the inquiry to logos, or hologos, which means the word, for the synonyms do not require serious attention. Logos signifies disorderly utterance. Mere prato means a definitely spoken word, a word which expresses quite neutrally the articulateness of the utterance. I can't see that. That was kind of messing up there. All right. So this goes into logos. Word came from the word legu, to speak. The basic meaning of the root leg is without doubt to gather, and indeed not to gather pell-mell, but to put together in order, to arrange. Its basic meaning, which is so characteristic of the Greek mind, explains the three principal meanings of the concept, which are so hard to reconcile: speak, reckon, and think. Only gradually did logos come into use as a designation of word. In Homer, the term is infrequent, and it occurs only in the plural, signifying the word not according to its external form, but with respect to the ideas attaching to the form. It is striking that logos originally had nothing to do with the function of speaking, like epos, and one can understand that it was a long time before logos became the general term. It is as though the Greek mind groped to find the deepest meaning of this term, but when it had found it in logos, the term rapidly became general, and from the time of Pindar, the philosophical poets, and the first historians became one of the most frequent words in the entire Greek language. The deepest level of the meaning in the term word is thus nothing which has to do with the function of speaking, neither dynamic spokenness, as was the case with the entire Orient, nor the articulateness of utterance, but the meaning, the ordered and the reasonable content. The term was generally used only with regard to the principal functions of the reasonable man. Fire! But look, I'm gonna show you how old this book is. This material has been around for a long time. Look at the copyright on this thing. 1960. See that? 1960? What's that? 40, 60, 2 years ago? Now that knowledge has been around. It's been around longer than that. Matter of fact, these series of manners and customs comes from James H. Freeman. He's the OG. Matter of fact, let me show you in the preface what the author George W. Knight says, right, in his acknowledgments. All right, he says, about 150 years ago, James M. Freeman wrote a book titled Manners and Customs of the Bible. I have that's for y'all to get on the Patreon. The Bible explained the meaning of some of the strange and puzzling customs mentioned in the Bible in order to make God's word more understandable and timely for the Bible students of his time. This book, Illustrated Guide to the Bible Customs and Curiosities, builds on the groundbreaking work of Freeman's book. Many of the customs mentioned by him have been included here, but the material has been totally rewritten for a modern audience. New information such as that brought to light by biblical archaeology since Freeman's day has been included to bring the book up to date. Full-color illustrations, landscape photographs, artifact images, and details from paintings have been included to make this book a valuable source on the customs and curiosities of Bible times. All right? So, James Freeman is the OG who said, yo, I think the best way to understand this text is to study the culture. Why are we so stuck in theology? Theology creates all these abstracts to try and explain something that culture already has an explanation for. The difference is when you're using the theological element, it goes to show that you are displaced from the culture. So you use the theological exegesis as a means of filling in gaps that otherwise, without understanding culture, language, and history, you will have no knowledge of, but you just deal with it theologically. And theology is fine and dandy and all of that, but the spiritual system comes from the culture. You cannot read theology into the culture. You got to read the culture and look for the spirituality from the culture. It's different. The approach is different. But okay. All right. Stack says, any audiobooks you can run on culture? That's a great question. I'll look into that and add that to the Patreon. All right. Add that to the Patreon. All right. So I'm saying this for a reason. Things can easily be dealt with when people have postmodernist perspectives of the text. You know, they get emotional and stuff about it. Deal with the ethics of the text, the emotion of the text, the modernist view. Deal with the science and the technicality of the text. But when people get emotional about the text and they say all this and that, and this guy says, yeah, your God sent Israel to go and kill these people. And I said, well, why did he tell them to do that? So they could take their land. I said, no, slow down. Did you know that El was the chief deity of the Canaanites? And what happens is this. When you make a covenant with a deity and you break the covenant, there's penalties for that. And those penalties affect everybody. And then what I did with him, I went into the scripture and I showed where the Israelites during the time of Moses and during the time of Joshua said, we will do all the things that you have said to us to do. So now when things befall them, guess what? It's because they did not keep their end of the bargain. The same thing works today. You're a citizen of this country, right? Yes. You go break a law. As a citizen, you are covenanting with the legislation of this nation. So you break a law, there's a penalty involved for that. Somebody has to execute that. So if he's the patron deity of the Levantine region, which we can go into the material culture of the Canaanites in order for us to demonstrate, and they break their covenant with him, then he can take an executor to come and execute the penalties and consequences for breaking that covenant. And that covenant was made with everybody. Everybody. That's number one. Number two, There was illicit seed sown amongst those people groups. An illicit seed. See, you're not studying the text deep enough. You're not looking for that understanding. You just want a reason for you to not deal with it. They say it's complex and I don't understand. That's fine. You don't have to subscribe to the Bible. You don't have to subscribe to being Israel. I don't care. You don't have to do none of that. Just don't lie or use pseudo shit to prove to yourself why you don't need to deal with it. And that's what people try to justify. But the justification means can be sound, can be reasonable, right? Can be accurate, but they don't take the time to go that route because they have not gotten heavily into the culture. They find things they don't understand, they scoff at it and say, you see, it don't make no sense. And I say, wait, slow down, brother. Do you really want to understand what this is talking about? Just slow down for a second. Okay, slow down. I understand, like, you haven't really done no deep research. Well, your God, he told Israel to go and murder people. I said, wait. What? In Exodus 20, he says, thou shalt not murder. But then he goes and tells them to murder people. And I said, wait, slow down, brother. Here's the thing. What's that word there for murder in Exodus 20? Okay. All right, cool. Now, can you go and find where he used that same word and told the Israelites to do that to other people? Can you find that for me? Can you give me that same word? Crickets. Going to a different, moving the goalpost. Oh, but still, it could be. Just slow down. I'm just saying, calm down, brother. You're doing too much. Just relax. Okay? Just relax. Major, excellent question. The reason why I don't spend a lot of time at that, because that is that is an interpolation. Let me show it to you on the screen real quick. Hold on, let me bring that up for you. I'm gonna show you. I don't really go heavy into interpolations because they are not considered to be original to the text, right? So, but let me bring that up for you real quick. Let me bring that up for you real quick. Good question, but I don't think it's one that warrants a lot of time to get into. But I want to show you this real quick. You go to John chapter 7, last verse, right? John chapter 7, last verse. Okay. Let me show my screen. All right. Okay. So we go here, right? And it says 140. Click on 140. Note this entire section, John chapter 7, verse 53 to 8 and 11, traditionally known as the pericope adulterae, is not contained in the earliest and best manuscripts and was almost certainly not an original part of the Gospel of John. And then it gives you all of this data on that. See that? So I don't spend time on these interpolations. Now, interpolations are both in the Tanakh and the Brit Hadashah. It's in both. Interpolations in both places. I don't spend a lot of time in interpolations because this is somebody's traditional understanding, custom, whatever, that they work into the text. It's not original to the text. So I stay away from that. That writing in the sand, right here in verse 9, chapter 8, verse 9, I don't really put any emphasis on it. But if you did want to delve into it, if you click on 10, the note of 10, it'll give you here, or possibly Yeshua bent down and wrote an accusation on the ground with his finger, right? The verb katagrapho may indicate only the action of writing on the ground by Yeshua, but in the overall context, Yeshua's response to the accusation against the woman can also be interpreted as implying that Yeshua wrote was a counter accusation against the accusers. Although there is no clue as to the actual content of what he wrote, some scribes added the sins of each one of them, either here or at the end of verse 8. So you see that in other textual variances in other manuscripts, but we don't know. We don't know. It can be implied, but we don't know, right? Now, that custom of writing in the sand, you can find that in ancient Near East, right, in what they call the Orient. That custom is there, but every culture has a different reason why they do that, right? And we don't really have a lot of that in the Tanakh for me to leverage into this understanding that's going on here, right? So hopefully this gives you some insight onto that, okay? All right. All right, so where we at on time? All right, 15 more minutes and I'm out of here. This wasn't designed to be a long session, but A lot of questions, again, can be answered by studying textual criticism, studying the culture, studying the language, studying the history of that people group, right? Studying the anthropology of that people group, going into the material culture of those people group, going into the archaeology of those people group, going into the geography of those people group, going into the diet of those people group, going into the worldview of those people group, their perspectives, their social climates, etc. People don't want to do that depth of study, so they come across something that seems to be confusing. All these books say the same thing. When you read these books, you're like, oh, shoot, that's why they did that. Oh, man, that's why they did this. I gave you a book called Bedouin Culture in the Bible. The patriarchs were Bedouins, sheep herders, pastoralists, Bedouins, travelers, right? So those same customs are still being done today in that same land, unbroken for thousands of years. Individual who wrote the book, Bedouin Culture in the Bible, he lived amongst them for years. And he said, oh, this is why boys were hoped for by fathers, because there was no CIA, no FBI, no city, county, state police to defend you and your tribe. You have to defend your tribe with your tribe. So if you have a tribe full of girls, no boys, and the neighboring tribe wants to come and take what you have, you got to fight and defend. But if you have a lot of boys, you can protect. Does that mean that boys have inherently higher value than women? No, that's not the case. The seed, the male seed, is the overseer. He's the head of household. He has this responsibility of provision and protection for everything under his care. That's his role. So when contracts are made, his name is on it because he is responsible. That's the key thing. Responsible for anything that's under his dominion. This is why when the Most High say give Adam dominion over things, the woman shared in that dominion until that issue happened where there was a consequence where that dominion situation got shifted. And so now the woman is subservient to the man. But when we say subservient to the man, that doesn't mean that she is of less value, because she was designed to be his, people say helpmate. No, his equal help, his opposing help. And when we see that term help that's used, it says kenego, ezer, kenego, that word ezer there for help. When the psalmist calls on help, he used that term, he's referring to the Most High, meaning that there comes to a point where that individual has a weakness that he cannot overcome. So there is an opposite help to get him out of that situation. But unless you understand the culture, these things are not going to make any sense. You're going to look at it and say, oh, there's misogyny in the text. It's not misogyny in the text. You don't understand how this works. You're taking your 2022 worldview and perspective, morals, ethics, etc., and you're imposing it on a culture in a period of time where those people did not share the same sentiments that you did. Now, there are certain things that are axioms, universal truths that are pervasive over time in cultures, right? However, there are also other particulars that are different between cultures and times and places, etc. So if you're not considering this when you read the text, you don't understand. Well, why would he tell them to kill everybody, keep the virgins? Well, there's a reason why he said that. Remember I told you about that illicit seed? That's why you're preventing those women who are untainted from that culture that can be taken by Israelites to come under the auspices of being seeded with that illicit seed. And if you want a book about that, The Sons of the Gods, I have it up there. Share it with you on the Patreon. You could take a look at it for yourselves. Get it out in my library. So people just don't understand this stuff. Stacks 2296. You want to look up the works of Dirk Lange. I put some of his content, I think it's in the Patreon, but just email me and I'll send you those documents. You can check it out. But Dirk Lange, he speaks extensively on the Yoruba connection to Israelites in the ancient Near East. Okay. All right. Anytime, majors, no problem. All right. Hopefully that helps. I'm glad that helped. Okay. All right. So we got 90 in here. Make sure you guys hitting the thumbs up button. If you're enjoying the content, hit the thumbs up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you share this video everywhere so we can reach to the top of the YouTube charts. We can punch that algorithm in the back of the head and slap it up and say, yo, look, pay attention over here. You see this? Pull this up to the top of the charts. All right. Share it everywhere. Subscribe if you're brand new. Hit that bell notification so when we go live, you get pinged on it. If you missed the live, that's fine. You'll catch it on the replay. All right. But this is where we at, man. Like I said, the 24/7, 365 after party is on a Patreon. www.patreon.com/DivineProspect. If you want to support the ministry, that's the best way to do so. And in exchange for that support, that financial support, we give you a wealth of resources, right? That I continuously add to. Okay. All right. So I wanted to touch on that because I thought that was very relevant going into culture and in regards to apologetics and responding to all of this nonsense that's out there. If you haven't followed me on Clubhouse, please follow me. I'm very active on Clubhouse, not every day, but I'm active on Clubhouse. And I deal with all this foolishness, all this pseudo shit that people try to use to justify why they don't deal with the text. And it's laugh. At this point, it's comical. I do it for entertainment. I very rarely get edification dealing with people making all of these arguments. Just like the debate. And this is for any of y'all who are Tanakh only. Please, you can say, I hate the New Testament. I don't deal with the A, B, and C. But please don't use pseudoship to do so. The Pizzo family, please don't do that. Please. I exposed that resource. Again, that thing has been put to death numerous times. Just leave it alone. Because if you're Tanakh only and you're going that route, you're doing the same thing that people who hate the Bible do. Because then they use other arguments to talk about the Tanakh in the same vein. Do you even know the author that put that book together? No? Then you need to go back and research that. See, I look for the provenance of ideas and where the idea came from an individual or collective group. What was their social status? What was their political agendas? What was their religious disposition? What was their economic status, right? Why did they put the text together? Who influenced them? Did they write any other works, right? All this stuff is important. Is there a preface to the book? Is there sources cited? I mean, all this is important, and people use this pseudo shit to try and disprove stuff, and they just end up with egg on their face after it's all said and done. Stop it. Just stop it. Stacks, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Asherah? So there's a book that I have on the Patreon called The Gods and Goddesses of the Ancient Near East. And when you go into there, you'll see the consorts of El. But a lot of that we have replete is from the Ugaritic tablets or the Rosh Shamra library, right? That we get that from. And that's when you learn about El, Baal, Mut. You learn about Asherah. You learn about Yam and several other deities, right? Considered the sons of El, right? Some of them are questionably sons. Some might be considered a brother, but you know. Okay, so DJ, excellent question. Let me address that in a little bit of time. We have 7 minutes left. Great point. So I don't know if anybody caught that, but I was saying something very, very interesting. Matter of fact, let me show you a book. Well, I'm gonna blog that on Patreon. Maybe another week. I'm gonna blog about that on Patreon. So I'm not gonna go too much in detail. But I'm gonna send you a book. I'm gonna show you a book real quick. I've shared this book on here before. You can read it from my library from the Patreon. But I'm gonna put this book up, right? Let me pull it up real quick. Let me grab it. I'm gonna show this to you. Because I put that question up because I want to see sometimes when I put questions up, it's really for the seekers, like people that really be paying attention. And if you don't know how to pay that type of articulate attention, then those questions are designed to bring your attention to something, right? So I'm gonna summarize this, but let me show the source real quick on the screen. I want to see how many people are actually following this, right? So this is from Martin McNamara, and this is called Targum and Testament Revisited, Aramaic Paraphrases of the Hebrew Bible, right? So there is a section in here, right? This is on page 147, okay? No, actually, I'm sorry. Right before it, chapter 9, page 141. Right. Right. This is the reverential manner in speaking of God. So what you will see, and I'm gonna answer the question, I guess. What you will see is that when you go into the Aramaic portions that's in the book of Daniel, and that's elsewhere in the text, Ezra, etc., you're not going to see no reference to Yod He Vav He. You're gonna be like, what? It's not there. Because something is developing with using that type of Aramaic. Now, the reason why you see Aramaic in Ezra is because that is imperial correspondence. So it was written in the lingua franca of the day, or the imperial Aramaic of the day. However, when we get in the book of Daniel, it's a little bit different, because the book of Daniel really is sharing things that are dealing externally with the nations involved. That's in Aramaic. And then the portions that go into the Hebrew are really stuff that's revealed internally to our community, right? When I do the blog, you can go to Patreon, read the blog. I'll go more detail into it, right? But the point I'm trying to make is a tradition started happening, and the biblical Aramaic that continues on in the Targum, that then continues on in, guess what? The Brit Hadashah, where you don't have the personal name Yod He Vav He in the Aramaic text that we have. It's not there. But you got to really study this to understand when people say, well, show me where God said this, or show me where the Tetragrammaton. Why are you saying Tetragrammaton? That's Greek. But show me where the Tetragrammaton is in the New Testament. They say this stuff. I said, wait, okay. So the New Testament was written in what? Some of it was written in Aramaic. All right, let's stick with the book of Matthew, right? It's my go-to. Book of Matthew. The O Syriac Sinaiticus Palimpsest is my go-to version, right? Which is in Syriac, which is a Middle Eastern Aramaic dialect. Well, when you go into there and you look at other Aramaic parts of the text, like Daniel and Ezra, the Aramaic doesn't have Yod He Vav He. So if it's not there, right, check it. And again, I'm doing a series on Yod He Vav He, on the divine name. Subscribe to the Patreon. I already put 3 posts out on that already. The 4th one is what I'm talking about right now. You got to understand, it's deep. By the time the Aramaic got introduced, they stopped using Yod He Vav He. The Aramaic was picked up when the Israelites went into Babylonian captivity. And in the Babylonian captivity, part of the culture is that Marduk's name was too holy. So he was called Bel, which is similar to Baal or Lord Adonai. They stopped using his name. Y'all missing it. So the Israelites picked up on that literary style of writing, and the reverential manner in speaking of God was established. This is why you don't see Yod He Vav He. And that's why when you look at the Aramaic portions of the Tanakh, it's styled differently than the Hebrew. I'm gonna have a blog, and I'm gonna put it up there. That's gonna be the next portion of that Yod He Vav He series. But I gave it to y'all to see how many people was paying attention. See, this is deep. This is really heavy. This explains a lot of the style of writing that you encounter in the Brit Hadashah. But you got to understand the Aramaic of the Tanakh, the intertestamental Aramaic, in the form of the Targum, leading its way into what we call the Brit Hadashah. Fascinating stuff. So you see where the style comes from. I explained that. I even talked about this when I was talking about the calendar and how the names change for months. Why did that transition and change? And there's no word for crescent. Well, actually, there's a word for crescent in the scriptures, but that Saharon is not used when talking about the moon phase. And from there's no intercalation methods in the scriptures. So if you are behind a day, a week, a month, how do we reset it? There's no Adar 2 in Torah, in the Chumash. But that was added when you see what Israel faced when they encountered other cultures. So what I'm saying is, this book right here called Targum and Testament, right, shows you the Targum transitioning and influencing the style of writing you see in what we call the New Testament. But that form of Aramaic was influenced by the Tanakh Aramaic. Same language, different dialects, but the style is consistent. So when you jump into the New Testament, you're asking asinine questions or making asinine inquiries. Why don't see there? Why slow down? Do you see it in the Aramaic portions of the Tanakh? No? Okay. What about how the Targum has a reverential manner of speaking of God? What about that? No? Okay, so then why do you expect this to okay? What was that? Oh, you didn't look into that yet. It's okay. I'm just asking questions so I can bring you to the solution. See, I don't ask you questions to confound you or to one up you. I ask you the questions to lead you to the solution. And sometimes if you're fighting, I'm a dog walk you to the solution. But if we on the same level, we vibing, I'm gonna lead you there. I'm gonna guide you there. I'm gonna be your tutor. I'm gonna be the curator. All right, man. All right. So with that being said, our time is up on this session. I had to make up for Friday night. So please, family, forgive me. I know a lot of y'all do anyway. Y'all love Divine, and I appreciate that. I get so much love from y'all. I can never give up. Even when I think about it. I tell you, every month I think about giving up. Something every month overwhelms me to the point like, man, I can't do this too much. Because I never asked for this role. I never asked for this position. Y'all gave it to me. And I accepted it. Initially, I accepted it with some reservations, with some resistance. I acquiesced. And now, after all these years, I still put up a fight at times. It's not easy doing this. I'm talking about hours and hours of my time going to this study, going to this research, being a spook that sat by the door, going into these academic circles and going to circles in the conscious community, going to these groups and going into their temples and to their lodges and getting information firsthand, boots to the ground, going into the streets and like I did out here in Atlanta where the police force was right there and these brothers and sisters are standing there waiting to get executed and I'm there getting them out the crossfire. Stuff is not easy. Okay? Overseeing a whole ministry and ministry operations and trying to produce services, products, goods, programs to alleviate the societal ills that we experience is not easy. Doing hours and hours of research by reading book after book after book, article after article after article, sifting through, parsing through, saying, hey, which one can be edifying to the community? Let me put it out there so they can read it at no additional cost. Right? Most of the content that I share, I've read it. Or if I didn't read all of it, I read enough of it to say I can recommend this. And if you go on a Patreon, we have almost 400 books there, over 50-something articles there. And then you got to read the stuff that I write. We have to be bibliophiles. One thing that I've realized is that all of these so-called slave movies and all of these statutes that was created during that time of slavery, the main thing they kept our people from doing is reading. And now with the internet, these Negroes is Googling stuff. Nobody wants to read anything no more. They don't want to read nothing. They don't want to discipline themselves to devote the time, energy, and effort to say, you know what? Somebody called me on this. Let me read it to see what they're talking about. Everybody wants to microwave information. Now, I'm not talking about those who are serious in this walk because sometimes you have a busy life. You have kids, you have work, you have other responsibilities. I understand that. I'm not talking about those individuals. I'm talking about the people who think they know everything because they Google everything until you get them to read stuff. These New Wabians, shout out to New Wabians, right? I'm talking about specific New Wabians, was trying to talk to me about the Sumerian culture. And I said, so who are you referring to? What expert in that field are you referring to? Right? Sometimes they don't know. Sometimes they'll say Jeremy Black, somebody like that. Sometimes it's Samuel Kramer, somebody. They don't know that stuff, but it's fine. Then they'll defer to Dr. Malachi Z. York. I said, okay, can you give me the category description and the citation for the cuneiform tablet that he translated? And on top of that, for people who may not understand, can you pull out a lexicon and a grammar book and walk us through that translation from that cuneiform? Oh, you don't know where to get it from? And then I give them the source that I've given y'all already. And I said, this is cataloged and indexed, all those cuneiform texts. Which one about the Anunnaki are we talking about here? Which one are you talking about? You don't know? Okay, so I see that your reading into the subject matter is limited to what Pops shared with you. And I say Pops because I'm being very respectful to their leader. I don't agree with some of the stuff he's saying or some of the stuff he did. I'm just saying, I'm being respectful. I'm talking their language, their lingo. I'm trying to reach them. Just like when I go to the hood. You think I'll be talking deep like this when I'm talking to dudes in the hood? I don't be talking to them deep like that. My Bronx accent kicks in, and I use terms that's relatable, right? I can't say nothing to go over their head. So you gotta speak their language. And I always give the example of Yochanan chapter 21, where Yeshua had reappeared to his disciples, according to the narrative, and they were fishing. They went back fishing, right? They gave up, went back fishing. This goes back to what I was talking about when you read the book of Acts. And the book of Acts, you see the Sanhedrin Council saying that there was false messianic figures that came up before. And after he died, their disciples scattered, and that was the end of that. And they said, if this one is not of God, the same thing will happen. But if it is God, we got to be careful, right? How we deal with it, right? So when the disciples, they saw that their leader died, they became like those other groups that dissipated, right? And again, I write a whole blog on this on my Patreon, right? And then what happens is he reappears to them while they're fishing. See, what happened was they had this entire supernatural, ethereal, out of this world experience with this master teacher, right? This Messiah figure, right? Who put them on the game and showed them how you can use this authority that I have to cast out the daimonion, these so-called demons, and how you can heal those who are sick, and how you can preach this word of the gospel of the kingdom and the power behind it, the authority. And they did this, and they saw him die. They was looking for a messianic figure to get them up out of the situation. That's why I share with y'all the Gabriel stone. If you don't know what that is, you gotta go check the Patreon. It is a messianic revelation that is incised in stone. Somebody wrote a whole prophecy in stone, and that's in the 1st century CE, with the expectation of a messianic figure not only deliver them from out of the hands of the enemy, but also fulfilling prophecies, deliver them spiritually. This is why you have that Ben Ephraim or Ben Yosef and Ben David. This is what we get from the Orthodox Judaism wing that I've spoken about this years ago, right? But the point I'm trying to make is when he appeared to them, they were fishing. They went back to doing what was innate, what was familiar. And sometimes that happens with a lot of us. Sometimes we have this out-of-world experience where something occurs in our life and it's wonderful, it's great, it's awesome, until something impedes that. Something slows the momentum. Something cuts it off or detours you away from that thing that you was getting in love with. And then something ugly happens and you go back to what's familiar. This happens in relationships. When you have a relationship that goes sour, you normally resort back to what you're familiar with. And that's part of human psychology. I should put an article up on that. It's a very great article. 2 articles that I read on this, very fascinating, where we revert back to that which is innate, to that which is familiar when we have this experience, and we try to convince ourselves that that experience that we had that is ideal, that we saw that was optimistic, that was just an interruption from the familiar, a temporary interruption from the familiar, and we revert back to that. So when people have that experience and that happens, and they revert back to that which they're familiar with, that which puts them back in a comfort zone or a security blanket, right? And it may be drinking, it may be smoking, it may be doing drugs, it may be sleeping around, right? It may be self-abuse, right? It may be going back to working hard and working yourself to the bone. It can be any of these things. It can be eating junk food, whatever the case may be. When that happens, we should not speak to the situation. We have to speak to the soul, the nefesh, because that person had an experience Something interfered that experience that they put their passion in. And now they've reverted back to that which is familiar. So what do we do when we encounter somebody in that phase of life? We meet them where they're at. How? You talk to the soul. Forget the situation. I don't care about this. Temporary. Let me talk to your soul. Let me speak to that. Let me edify that. Right? You get into the character of the person. Parse out the features. Create a profile. Show them how we can project that into the future. Don't look at the circumstances. They already know they're reverting back to something that's familiar. That's their security blanket. Don't snatch that from underneath them. You got to guide them out of that. It's a walk. It takes time. Okay. All right. I'm a fallback. I don't know if I see y'all saying other things in the chat, a little distracting, but I'm trying to give y'all some jewels, trying to drop some gems right now. But the thing was that he went to them while they was fishing, and guess what? He helped them catch fish. And when they caught the fish, he said, "Come, let us eat it together." And he had a talk with them. He had a conversation with them. He didn't rebuke them. He didn't disrespect them. He didn't call out their lack of faith. He dealt with them in that moment. And unfortunately, a lot of us, we don't want to deal with that person in that moment by speaking to their potential. That's what I'm talking to. I don't care about the situation. I'm talking to your potential. And if you don't see that, that's fine. But I'm gonna get you to believe that you are still what you have potentialized in your mind, what you have projected the ideal to be. That situation is a lesson. That lesson is designed to strengthen you, whether you fail it or whether you pass it. You've learned something. You may not acquiesce to what you've learned, but you've learned something. And that's a character builder. Failures bring you to success. Success does not always equal success. You see, that's the problem. We got to love people through the process and not when they just get the prize. And if we can learn to do that with one another, then we can get much further. And with that, I'm going to close out. Okay. I see you're asking me some other questions. So let's wait for the next live stream. I appreciate y'all jumping on here and enjoying the session. I want to keep it at an hour and 30 minutes, but I had to speak life into y'all. Somebody needed to hear that. Hopefully y'all staying encouraged. Save your questions for the next live stream. You can always email them. You can always text them. You know, we're here to answer that as much as we can. I appreciate all you for supporting this ministry. Those of you who just signed up for the Patreon and those who just donated, thank you so much for that. Please give us your prayers. If you have words of encouragement, shoot it the way too. You don't always have to give finances, money, or whatever. Anything that you can offer, we'll take, right? Because in this time with everything going on, right, pending nuclear war, what's deeper than that? That happens. It's a wrap for everybody, right? But in the face of all this going on, the Hurricane Ian happening, there's so much stuff happening in life. Life is precious. I just recently did a eulogy for a brother that I did not know a lot about. I knew him based on the couple of conversations that I had with him. And I was asked, can you go and do the eulogy? Can you go and preside over it? And I said, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. Right? I interrupted my routine schedule to fly out to New York and help that sister out who lost her husband and help that family and those friends and those associates out who were grieving. And that was tough doing that because not only did I do the funeral, but I also had to do the burial as well. It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? But this comes with the territory, right? And this is what I'm here to do for the community. I am a servant. I don't just sit here in front of this screen and just talk. I'm out in these streets putting in work. And that's how we have to do. When you put your hands to the plow and you put that work in, it's outside of the four walls of your comfort zone. And some of us don't want to get out the comfort zone and wonder why you can't progress to the next level. Well, you got to get out that comfort zone. And that's something that you can continue to remind yourself. In order for me to get to that next level, I got to get out this comfort zone. But I'm not gonna cold turkey out of it, right? Don't do that. But I'm going to create milestones and I'm going to meet them as I climb up that ladder to get to where I need to go. So the call has been given out. Will you accept that call and put the work into the community. I'm handing you this baton. Will you take it and continue to run this relay race and then pay it forward to the next person? Are you willing to do that? That is what KHM is founded upon. And if you're watching this and you're serious about your walk is not as good as the knowledge you know, but as good as the application and execution of that knowledge. If you cannot use that information to change lives, then you are wasting your time. So with that, family, I love y'all. I'm going to keep praying for y'all. Pray for your brother, sending words of encouragement to y'all. Do the same for me. Hope you enjoyed this live stream session, this impromptu live stream session. Those of you watching on the replay, thank you for getting this far. I appreciate it. Love you guys, and I'll see you on the next live stream. Thank you for your time, and peace and shalom.